This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com. I'm curious, when you're talking about the good old days and you're talking about the 80s, especially the late 70s and early 80s, the territories are thriving. I mean, I think Memphis had their best years in the early 80s, and I'm curious to hear when you think your best years were, but you had attractions. You had the touring NWA World Heavyweight Champion who would come through the territories from time to time, and you had really big attractions, literally, like Andre the Giant. Do you have any good Andre the Giant stories you can share with us today?
Oh yeah, I got all kinds of Andre stories. Andre was one of my greatest friends, and he started coming wrestling for me in Southeastern Wrestling in Knoxville back in. I think his first appearance there was probably in 1975, and Andre fell in love with Knoxville, and he told me after his second trip there, he says, "Ron, I want you to call Vince and tell Vince to put me here as much as he can." He just loved coming there. I got one for you, Conrad. I picked him up. I set him up into a hotel that had a lounge right next to it, a big nightclub, because Andre liked to drink a little bit, and he had a great time, man. And he would go in there, and I picked him up to take him back to the airport to fly out one morning, and he was early, and I asked him, I said, "Have you eaten?" And he said, "No, Ron, no, I haven't." And I said, well, we'll stop and get some food before I take you. I got time to go to a restaurant. So we went to a Waffle House. That was Andre's favorite restaurant. Turned out, I said, "Where do you want to go?" And he says, "Waffle House." So I said, "Okay, we'll go to Waffle House." It was in the morning. We sat down at the table, and the waitress came, and she recognized him. It's back when he had the big hair, the real big hair. His hair was 6 feet off of the top of his head. He looked like he was 7, 8, and he said, so she recognized him, and he was ordering. And we both had the menu. If you've been in a Waffle House, it's got a breakfast menu on one side. You flip the menu over, and it's got the afternoon and the dinner meals. And so I'm looking at it and the breakfast, and I order the breakfast, and then she says, "What do you want, Mr. Giant?" Mr. Giant. Oh, I cracked up. So he says, I want breakfast. And she says, "Yes, okay, what are you having? What do you want?" And he had the front side of the menu, and he showed it to her, and he says, "I want the menu." And she says, "You've got the menu, Mr. Giant." And he says, No. He says, "I want everything on the menu."
Oh my.
And then he said, and so she almost fell on the floor, and she said, "You want everything on the front side, on the breakfast side of the menu?" Yes. And then she was going to walk away, and he goes, No, come back. And she came back, and he says, he turned the menu over, and he says, "I want this side too." So she went and told the cook, and and it was just turning lunchtime, just the end of breakfast, and they were about to start to roll over to doing lunches. And I heard this big conversation back there, and he's like, "He wants what?" And he wants all of it, both sides. And so they started bringing this food, and we were going to miss the plane. I mean, we sat there. Andre just kept eating, and they would bring one course, and then they would take the plates away, and they bring another. Finally, I finished my breakfast, and I just kind of backed off and let them fill the table. And then they'd take the table away, and they'd fill the table. And it was like, oh my gosh, well, people were lined up. They were watching from outside the windows for them to bring the food. So Andre was a real trip, man, a crazy dude to be around, and a whole lot of fun. Andre had a great sense of humor. And a lot of people probably don't realize that about him, but I made a lot of trips with him, and he was such fun to be around.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.